Hello and welcome to the Unassisted Triple Play. I'm your host, Hunter Mulholland, and this is the first show that I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be doing this every single day. Time is going to change. Hopefully, I can iron out a specific plan for the future, but it will be here on the Unassisted Triple Plays YouTube channel every single day. So, to kick us off, this is obviously a baseball show, as you can tell by the title. Uh, we're just going to be talking about Major League Baseball and its massive news for the upcoming week. Opening day is right around the corner, and teams are returning to either their home or getting ready to go on a trip elsewhere to begin the season on the road. So, to get this kicked off, Shohei Ohtani is going to be resuming his pitching program. Dave Roberts has hinted at May as a possible window for Ohtani to return. He was throwing in the postseason last year, late in the season, but due to a left lat injury, he had to shut down his throwing. While that rehabbed, it kind of changed the clock. There's no specific timetable on when Ohtani is going to return, but Roberts has kind of hinted at May. Um, with his with the lat injury as well as his Tommy John rehab, there were a couple of different injuries that were affecting him, and with him playing both sides of the baseball, they decided to focus on getting his lat injury rehabbed and get him hitting versus the other way around and have him pitching. So what he did was he focused on getting his hitting back to then build back up and return to pitching this season, just at a later date than what we were expecting. Uh, Obviously, the Dodgers and Cubs are both 2 games into the season, but that shouldn't have much effect on the amount of starts that Otani is going to receive once he is fully healthy. Meanwhile, with the Dodgers, Mookie Betts is recovering. Uh, just before their trip out to Tokyo for the Tokyo series against the Cubs, Mookie began to feel symptoms of an illness. Um, he lost 25 pounds since this illness, since entering camp specifically. You take his enter weight and then his current weight. Mookie is in a weird spot. They've ran tests, and it started on March 11th is when he kind of started to feel some symptoms and began that illness. He went underwent blood work to kind of figure out what's going on. The illness is still undiagnosed. Mookie just wants to play. He said that he's tired of throwing up. He's tired of just sitting around. He just wants to play and return to the ball field. Roberts does Manager Dave Roberts has said that he thinks Mookie has turned a corner, and that he's beginning to get much better as the season continues for them on Thursday. Another injury news: Gunnar Henderson will miss the first 4 to 6 weeks with an intercostal strain. Um, Baltimore is going to have to lean on Jackson Holiday, um, Jordan Westberg. They're going to have to lean on those guys to kind of help them out in that scenario. They'll have Ramon Urias, who can play third base, um, and have Westberg at second with Holiday at short. They're going to have to lean on those guys for the next month or so while Gunnar Henderson kind of gets back. He's a young player. It's a normal injury to have, um, with how much he's been swinging the bat. I'm sure that when he returns, he won't miss a step, and he'll continue on his MVP type career and hopefully an MVP type season for them. But it is something that needs to be said, they didn't go out and go get a pitcher, a starting pitcher, an ace. They signed Tomoyuki Sugano as well as Charlie Morton um, in the offseason, but they lost Corbin Burns. And when you lose a guy like Corbin Burns, you need to figure it out and find somebody to take that mantle and be your ace. Um, and they didn't really go out and get anybody, so they're really going to have to lean on the bats to get them to where they want to be. They're in a very very tough and competitive division. Top to bottom is a division that can compete and be playoff caliber teams. But Gunnar Henderson's offensive production and his defensive prowess is going to be missed as the season begins. But when he returns, expect it to be smooth sailing, probably bouncing Ramon Urias back to the bench, sliding Westberg back to third base, and Holiday at second. Um, Continuing on in the AL East, the pitching injuries are continuing to pile up in that division. So Garrett Cole and Lucas Gill both go down with an injury for the Yankees. Um, Cole getting TJ and going to miss the season. Grayson Rodriguez, his injury flared up again. Um, Hopefully he gets to return before the Orioles get into a very tough stretch of the season, especially early on. Hopefully he gets to return and give them that spark because he's been a young pitcher that I've had my eyes on since he was moving up the ranks. I thought that he could be Baltimore's next ace, especially with the absence of Corbin Burns. I figured that he would be the type of guy that would be expected to take the jump and move into that next step of his career. Shane McClanahan recently this past weekend went down with a triceps injury. He's coming off of TJ. And when you hear triceps, you start to get worried about the future. Another Tommy John. But Shane McClanahan is a very talented pitcher and has the ability to bounce back when he gets back from his rehab and everything. He's expected to be the core piece of that rotation. It's a very young rotation. I outlined on Birds Watcher the American League pitchers. Well, that article should be coming out today. The starting rotation. Um, the Rays rotation is the worst in the division, and that's saying a decent amount because the division's fairly stacked. I didn't think that they were that great just because of they're super young. You've got three guys that are super young that are going to be taking over the mantle, especially with McClanahan gone. You have to move Zach Little and Rasmussen into starter roles. Rasmus Little started last year. Rasmussen did not. Kind of in and out of the starting gig for him in the past couple seasons. If he returns to start completely, um, when McClanahan gets back, maybe it's somebody else that is one of the younger guys is going to go back down to AAA before they inevitably need them again in the major leagues. Sliding over to the American League Central, Vinny Pasquantino suffered a grade 1 plus right hamstring strain. I want to make sure I get that right. This past Saturday, he was trying to beat out a ground ball. Not a huge speed guy, so it might be easier for him to bounce back from that versus a guy like a Byron Buxton, who, if he gets a hamstring strain, speed plays into a lot of his uh, game. That maybe a hamstring strain is a little bit more serious for a guy like that. For Vinny, not a massive speed guy, but a run producer nonetheless. He wants to return and play on Thursday for the Kansas City Royals, but the Royals might try and hold him out to avoid him going into a longer stint on the IL. He has returned to baseball activities on Monday, um, which is a good sign. He's moving around. He's doing things that he needs to do to be able to play on Thursday. But the Royals want to be cautious. Pasquantino has spent time on the injured list in years past, and spent pretty decent chunks of time on the injured list in years past. And you want to make sure, if you're the Royals, that he is ready to go and be productive for you. Sticking with the Kansas City Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first Major League Play Ball ambassador. Um, he's the first Major League player to be an ambassador for the show. It's a 30-minute kids show to teach children how to play the game of baseball. And Bobby Witt will be appearing at play ball events, especially with the Royals. They're going to do play ball events at Kauffman Stadium. They're going to do. He's also going to appear on the 30-minute TV program that, like I said, teaches kids the game of baseball. He's one of the league's brightest and youngest stars, and now he's turning around and inspiring that next generation of major league players. The next thing that is on the list today, Corbin Burns is going to be heading to the back of the rotation. I think it's an odd thing to hear, right? Corbin Burns, Cy Young Award winner, um, a top of the line starter, as we mentioned earlier on the show a little few minutes ago, that he he's going to be missed in Baltimore. Um, but it's a different viewpoint there with the D-backs. But what happened was he's super routine oriented, and between his starts and uh, with the timeline at the end of the spring did not allow him to start the second game of the season because he requested that he wanted to pitch again this winter. They didn't know if they were going to go with Zach Gallen, if they were going to go with Corbin Burns on opening day. And it kind of got pushed back and back and back until a decision was made that now Burns is kind of in this spot where he'd be, if he was going to start the second game, he would be on no more than, sorry, no less than a week's rest um, to start game two when they made the decision on Thursday. But Burns wanted to throw again. Burns asked to throw one more game this spring, and he will pitch the fifth game of the regular season with only one extra day of rest. So instead of his normal routine of 5, he's going to pitch on that 6th day. A little odd because he's going to throw Thursday. He's going to throw Wednesday this spring, and this last game of the spring, which the timeline works out for him to throw what would be the 4th game on regular rest, but they just decided to push it to the 5th so that then now when the schedule lines up, you'll go Burns then Gallen, which is not a fun task versus going Burns, somebody else, then Gallen. It's interesting, to say the least. I would have thought that you could have said, all right, Corbin, at the beginning of the spring, like, all right, Corbin, either you or Gallen are going to start opening day. We're going to treat you both and get you ready. You're going to pitch opening day, or you're going to pitch the second game of the season. You're only going to have one extra day of rest and kind of plan it out that way. Torey Lovello said that it was a total oversight on his part, and that this was his mistake that he had made. But it is an interesting one because you definitely think of Corbin Burns as being that frontline guy. Gallen is a fantastic pitcher. He's a guy that I've had for a couple of seasons of probably could win the Cy Young, but there's other guys ahead of him. Um, so it is interesting for the uh, for the Diamondbacks there. Moving into the National League Central, the St. Louis Cardinals will start Victor Scott II in center field on opening day. The reason for him making the team this season for St. Louis is very, very different than making the team last season for St. Louis on opening day. He made the team last season because Dylan Carlson went down with an injury. There were injuries in the outfield and they needed to fill it. And so they said, all right, Victor, you're getting the call up. You've had a good spring. We're putting you on the roster. This season, the Cardinals enter the offseason. They're in this kind of see what you got season um, between all of their young talent, trying to build for the future and see what you have in that regard. Victor Scott 100% earned the job. And in my opinion, the Cardinals would have done an injustice to start him in Memphis and not start him for the major league club. His slash line this spring was 349, 451, 721. He hit 4 home runs and stole 5 bags in 16 games. To contrast with that, his competition, which was Michael Ciani / Lars Nootbaar. Ciani did not hit very well. I believe he was sub 200, maybe even sub 150 for the spring on batting average. But we know that Michael Ciani has elite defense. Probably could have won the Gold Glove if he had 2 more innings last season by the cutoff date. Lars Nootbaar was kind of projected to be the center fielder because Ciani was playing poorly. And the Cardinals want to find a way to fit Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Jordan Walker. They want to find a way to fit all of their young players into the lineup every single day. With the Cardinals, you already kind of knew what was going on. They move Wilson Contreras from catcher. They play Pedro Pajes and Ivan Herrera behind the dish. They put Wilson at first base. Second base is up in the air. You know for a fact Mason Wynn is going to be your second or your shortstop. Nolan Arenado is going to be your third baseman. They've stated that Jordan Walker is getting a runway this season, so he's going to play right field. So the competition turned into, okay, well, we think that Lars Nootbaar is going to be in center field. We think Brendan Donovan's probably going to be in left field. Gorman at second base and Alec Burleson DHing. Burleson is not a fantastic outfielder, can play some first base, but with Wilson Contreras there's no reason to have him play first base. So you go in there and you're sitting there looking at that, and all of a sudden, here comes Victor Scott. He's hitting well above 300, has an OPS of I think it was 11, it was 1172. I think it was 1172 this spring. Yeah, that's exactly right. I just did the math. He had an OPS of 1172, and you're sitting there and saying, I don't know, maybe he's going to go in Memphis. Why is that even a conversation? I don't care that you have the runway that you want to build for Gorman and Burleson and Walker, and you want to give these guys these opportunities and see what you have at the major league level. When you have a dude that does that in spring training. Oh, and by the way, is also an elite defender. He's your center fielder. He's the center fielder no matter what. And so the Cardinals get into this spot where they don't think they're going to be competitive. They want to see what they have, but then on the off chance that things go well, you should want to have Victor Scott II in the starting lineup every day, especially with the stat line that he produced. Now, if he struggles at the major league level, maybe it's a different thing. Maybe he needs to go back down for a little bit if he struggles like he did last season. But looking at what he did this spring, he's earned it, especially with the thought of Michael Ciani having a bad spring. He's earned the opportunity to go and start in center field. And Oliver Marmol has come out and said it's not a tryout. You're the starting center fielder. Could that change? Yes. Could it change down the road when the Cardinals are in mid-April or mid-May? Sorry, not mid-April, late April, mid-May, and they're like, okay, well, he's still not now he's not hitting at the major league level. We've got to do something. Absolutely. Do I think that Victor Scott II's not going to hit at the major league level after what I watched this spring? No, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be one of the bright spots on the Cardinals. Him and Mason Wynn are the future of the organization, and you need to let them play. Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Alec Burleson all could also file into the, hey, this is the future. Gorman, obviously, there's struggles of strikeouts and struggles of his approach of the plate. Hopefully he gets that turned around if you're the Cardinals. Jordan Walker struggled at the plate last season. He got sent down for most of the season. Hopefully he gets that figured out. I mean, but they're also young guys. They're not like 28-year-old guys that have been that are 2, 3, 4 years in the league and are still struggling that you need to get them out. No, they're like 25 or younger. So get off my soapbox there, but it's definitely a frustration for to sit there and say, okay, this organization wants to do this. Well, all right, whatever. In other news, tomorrow we're gonna do a prediction show. I'm gonna write up all my predictions for the awards tomorrow, um, and predict the division winners and the award winners for both leagues. I think it'll be very, very fun to see what my thought is and see how wrong I am by July when things start to shake out as some people start to uh, climb up the rankings, and all of a sudden here we are, and they're sitting as the best odds to win the MVP, and nobody had them on their list. But I really don't think that's going to be the case. I think that these are going to be pretty accurate. Um, like for example, if I go out there and say Shohei Ohtani is going to win the National League MVP, is anybody be sitting there and be like, by July, I'd be like, no, that's wrong. Probably not. There's probably going to be people that say, oh, well, Juan Soto's also having a great year. Okay. He could also win it. But those are two of your biggest arguments for that. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to write it all up tonight. Have that show for you guys tomorrow. It's been fun. I'm going to be a little bit more uh, put together as this goes on. This is only the first one. I'm still learning here, so uh, bear with me. I look forward to tomorrow's show. Hopefully, I am correct. I will see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Unassisted Triple Play YouTube.